Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.
The following podcast is a deep, shallow dive production.
And you're going to love it.
Okay, let's go.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Happy Wednesday. Hey, my bad. This thing got out a little late today, so I do apologize. Anyway, hope the week is going well. Okay, couple things. One is for those of you that sent me a note about the episode from Monday with Pastor Matt First. Totally appreciate all those. I am a little lax in getting back to a bunch of things, especially on the email front. So I will get back to everybody as I always do. Anyway, I really enjoyed talking to him. You know, actually, one of the best comments I got from somebody was that they said, hey, this was so great. You know, as a Christian, you know, I really enjoyed hearing this perspective. And then they said, you know, your previous pastor, Pastor Steven Anderson, not the Pastor Bob Thiel, you know, the guy that's a live wire. Steven's definitely a live wire. They said that, and this was a female, she said, you know, Pastor Anderson, I agree with everything he says. The challenge sometimes is his delivery is a little bit harsh for me. And so with Pastor First, you know, I really felt like it was my, you know, my pastor. And then she even said, she's like my dad talking to me. Although I think they're kind of the same age. Pastor First is 52, and this friend of mine is that similar age. But she said that it was interesting that she just received the information so much better coming from Pastor First because of his delivery. And, you know, I thought about that, and I was like, gosh, I guess that definitely does make sense. You know, two people can say pretty much the same exact thing, but if one delivers it in a fiery fashion, you know, some people do resonate to that. And then if one delivers it in a much more calm fashion, some people resonate to that. It's kind of like, I think I played this a long time ago, but it was comparing, you know, the speech patterns of 2016 Trump to like 2012 Obama. And it was just showing how, you know, they're just so different, so unbelievable different. So unbelievably different. Although the funny thing is, they've gotten more similar this run. All right, there's a lot of stuff coming up on Trump, actually. You know, I've really definitely soured in such a big way, And again, I mean, I do stick to the concept of him being under duress, and I'll define that even further in another episode. I'm actually trying to get Jay Slay USA to come back on because, man, talk about a guy that's gone 180 in terms of, well, I shouldn't say 180. He's just really also been disenchanted by a lot of things he's seen. And I think he was even maybe more into the conservative right side than I was, because obviously it also played into and plays into his religion being Christianity. And you know, again, that conservative right side does have a lot more of that. So anyway, okay, that's it. If you didn't get a chance to listen to Monday's episode with Pastor First, highly recommend it. All right, I want to talk a few different things today, and then I'm going to play you some clips of some upcoming guests because, man, I've got some good ones, and I really do want you guys to, you know, get a lot out of those guest interviews. All right, but before that, I did want to talk about fiber for a minute. Now, I've got some medical professionals coming on, and man, I got a lot of great feedback for that episode with Michelle Rothenstein, the cardiac dietitian. People really got a lot out of that, and I am going to bring you more of that stuff. I really am. I want to bring a lot more of that kind of, you know, when it comes to the medical and health stuff, gosh, honestly, I want things that you can actually implement into your life. You know, that's the whole goal with everything, by the way. Even the discussions on geopolitics, I want them to be things that you can actually implement into your life, or quite frankly, talk about when you get into a conversation with somebody. And so the interviews that I've got coming are going to be very targeted about that. But I want to tell you guys, I have started again. Gosh, I used to do this years ago and I stopped, but I'm basically taking a daily fiber supplement, and it's pretty much Metamucil. But I'll be totally honest, I researched Metamucil versus all the private labels various companies and retailers offer, and they're all pretty much 100% natural psyllium husk. So whether it's Metamucil or Equate, which is the private label from Walmart, I've got a Walmart store that's right next to the Costco, really close to me. And so anyway, I'm using the private label Equate, which again is just $4 less expensive than Metamucil. And then honestly, when you turn the two of them around and you look at their supplement facts, including the secondary ingredients that are written below it, it's literally the exact same thing. And since I know how this stuff works, I guarantee you Metamucil makes Equate private label for Walmart. And by the way, that's how a lot of these private labels work. Like especially the Kirkland brands at Costco, when you see Kirkland brand detergent, that's getting made by Procter & Gamble. And Procter & Gamble makes Tide and Cheer and Gain and all that. And so they're making Kirkland detergent for Costco. Why do they do that? Because it's a shit ton of business. And for them, again, when you think about a brand name versus a private label, many times that's a price decision that consumers make. So like buying, Metamucil for $26 or buying the same size Equate for $14, that's $10, $12 difference. That's a big difference for a lot of people. And for me, it's a big difference because I'm smart enough to turn around both products and read the ingredients. And when the ingredients are literally exactly the same, and by the way, there's other things you can notice. You can also notice the different fonts that they use. You can also notice the way their labels are laid out. And so a lot of times when the national brand is making the private label, you will see similarities in how the labels are laid out. You'll see similarities in the font. You'll see similarities in just the way they look, okay? And by the way, that makes total sense because again, it's probably one company who creates their branded version, and then they're like, okay, we've got a $2 million purchase order from Walmart. Let's just swap out the labels, and they throw the private label onto that. So, these are just little tricks of the trade. Honestly, I've learned from, manufacturing a liquid vitamin. And so when it comes to something like fiber, they're pretty much all this natural psyllium husk. So before I tell you what psyllium husk is, so this is how I'm doing it at nighttime, probably around after my dinner, after everything. Gosh, I try to do it on the slightly earlier side, but let's say around 8 o'clock at night, I take 2 teaspoons of the fiber. I put it in a glass. I fill it up with water, mix it up nicely. It becomes a little bit like viscous and a little bit thick. And I've been drinking, that glass with 2 tablespoons of fiber, which is basically giving me roughly 6 grams of soluble fiber. Okay. And I'll talk about soluble fiber in a second. And then from there, I normally fill up that glass of water again, and I drink another glass of water, which kind of takes all the residual fiber on the sides of the glass. And so I drink that glass of water as well to make sure there's enough water in my system to help that fiber do what it's supposed to do. And I have to tell you, it is very interesting. I really like it. I really like it. Like my number 2 movements in the mornings are definitely different. I mean, it's like, gosh, I feel completely emptied out. Like I feel emptied out. And that fiber is basically like the way that it's kind of working. And I want to save a lot of this for the episodes I do, but fundamentally, it's pretty much kind of almost expanding. So the powder fiber that you're drinking, well, I shouldn't say powder because obviously when you mixed it, it becomes a liquid. But that initial powder fiber that gets mixed in the water in your glass and then you drink it, it's like, think about that going through your intestinal tract and it's picking up even more water as it goes through. And it's almost like roto-rootering what's in your intestines and your digestive tract. And so it's kind of expanding out and it's giving you bulk in your fiber. That's how they describe it. They say it gives you bulk in your fiber. And it's almost like, think about a pipe and then think about like, just like a giant cloud. Now, I know it's not a cloud, but think about a giant cloud that's just pushing everything kind of through your digestive tract. And what's great is it's picking up a lot of the things that might be attached to your digestive wall in your digestive tract. And that's amazing because a lot of times that's how people get, diverticulitis and other GI issues. It's because things have attached to the wall of their digestive tract and then they rot and they get infected. I've had a few friends end up in the hospital with that. I mean, that's what diverticulitis is. Diverticulitis is small little pockets that form on the sides of your intestinal wall, and then food gets trapped in those pockets, almost like, literally, like it gets dropped in the back pocket of your pants. Maybe like a few sesame seeds or something from your bagel or from your cracker, or a lot of times, chia seeds. That's why you have to be careful with chia seeds and make sure you dissolve them in water so they fully expand. And then those things get trapped in those little pockets on the side of your intestinal wall. They get infected because they pretty much rot. And then that puts you in the hospital because your body thinks you have an infection. That's literally what diverticulitis is. Anyway, with this fiber, I'm going to kind of end it here because, again, I do want to save it for the episodes, but I highly, highly recommend just try it. Buy like a 10 ounce or 12 ounce little bottle of fiber from your local store. Make sure it's, 100% psyllium husk. I've got 100% natural psyllium husk. I'm using the Equate private label brand from Walmart right now. And it even says on here, compared to Metamucil. Oh, last thing on this. So psyllium husk, I'm like, what the hell is psyllium husk? So psyllium husk is a type of dietary fiber made from the seeds of the Plantigo ovata plant, which is primarily grown in India. It's a common ingredient in fiber supplements and is known for its ability to absorb water and form a viscous gel. Okay, that's exactly right. Here, let me read a little more of this. How it works. Psyllium husk is a bulk-forming laxative. When you consume it with water, it swells and creates a gel-like substance in your digestive tract. This gel has several effects. For constipation, the gel adds bulk and softness to your stool, making it easier to pass. This helps promote bowel movement. For diarrhea, the same gelling property also works to absorb excess water in the intestines, which can help firm up loose stools and slow down its passage. This dual action is why psyllium husk can be beneficial for managing constipation and mild diarrhea. Okay, anyway, I highly, highly, highly recommend this. Try this out. Buy some dietary fiber, daily fiber. Make sure it's 100% psyllium husk. And when you look at the ingredients, like my ingredients on this thing is psyllium husk, maltodextrin, citric acid, natural and artificial orange flavor, silica, aspartame, and then a couple food dyes. Now, again, I do understand some of those extra ingredients supposedly are not the best thing. And like I said, I'll dive into this more, but fundamentally just make sure it's psyllium husk. Use 2 rounded teaspoons. That's 45 calories. That'll give you 6 grams of dietary fiber. 5 of those are soluble, and And give it a try, man. Seriously, give it a try. Okay, I can't believe I've talked 14 minutes on fiber, but seriously, this is something you can literally implement into your daily life, and I love it. I really love it. This is now this, and then I started taking my blood pressure every day. Gosh, I've been a little bit lax on that. I'm not going to lie. That's a tough thing to get in the routine of taking, but I'm going to try to do that. But taking fiber every night, I'm sold on this, and you'll notice a difference when you go poo-poos in the morning. So try it out for a week. Let me know. I'd be very curious, more than willing to talk about any of your number twos with you. And that's it. All right, that's that. All right, let me play a couple clips of some upcoming guests because I've had some good ones and I want to get them introduced to you a little bit. So this first clip is with Rabbi Yisrael Dovid Weiss. This guy was awesome. Oh my God. So this is the main spokesperson for, if you follow the Deep Shallow Dive Instagram, I've posted a lot of their stuff. It's this group of Orthodox Jewish rabbis based in New York, and they are part of this Natara Karta faction. And these guys are legit, man. I mean, they are honestly, if you think about the definition of somebody that practices Judaism, it's these guys, and they're very, they're lovely people. So give a listen to this initial clip from him.
The mass slaughter in Gaza has nothing to do with a conflict between religions, between Judaism and Islam. We have been living together as Jews and Muslims for literally hundreds of years, thousands of years. We've been living together with Arab people. You can see how we live together. It's only an introduction of a political movement called Zionism, and that's using the name of Judaism to declare war on the people of Palestine, to declare and vilify the people of Palestine that they're anti-Semites, anti-Jews. That's totally repugnant and false. We cannot be silent. We're Jews. Because we're Jews, we have to stand up and say, this is not true. It's not in our name. We totally object to this. We cry and hurt with the people of Gaza and Palestine. This is not a religious state. It's not a Jewish state. They're using the name Israel. They're masquerading in the Star of David in the name Israel. This is a criminal entity.
All right, he's super hardcore. I mean, basically, he really helped me understand. Really helped me understand the difference between Zionism and Judaism. And again, I think that's something that is just coming more and more to the forefront with, what's continuing to take place in Gaza, which, by the way, I think is going to get worse. I think it's getting to a point where it's just going to be like the final blow. And part of that is I also did an interview with another doctor that went to Gaza. And by the way, what's cool about this guy, his name is Dr. Mark Bronner. I'm going to give you guys some real talk right now. Those two episodes I did with Dr. Mimi Syed and Dr. Ter Ahmad, I had a few friends and honestly friends, like people that I genuinely consider friends. They were like, this was a pretty slanted interview. Are they Muslim? Is that why you brought them on? And honestly, I was a little bit offended. I really was. And I told them that. I said, dude, that is like so out of bounds of a comment. These guys are medical doctors. They're as American as you and I are, and they've decided to go and help, kind of what is taking place over there. And your response is that this is slanted because their skin is brown. That's just real talk, man. That's just real talk. And, we had a discussion. It was two people. And again, I can't say I convinced them of anything, and they definitely did not convince me of anything. But one of the reasons why I'm excited to bring Dr. Bronner on is he is like a 6'2" white, all-American looking dude. And so I can't wait for them to see that episode. And then I'm going to be like, well, what about this? This is like a white dude. This is like normal white American. He couldn't be any whiter, and he couldn't be any more all-American. Here's a guy that went over there. What are you going to say about this? This guy's not brown. He's not Muslim. He's not anything. He's just a medical doctor that really felt compelled to go over there and help. So give this a quick listen.
Hi, I'm Mark Bronner. I'm an ER doc and Gaza witness, and I want to talk to you today about the multi-layered textural experience of being in Gaza that we don't get from the images online. There's this auditory cacophony, this multi-layered wailing and keeling and chaos and a mixture of Arabic and English that is just frenetic and intense. And then when it is quiet, the quiet is even more profound than the chaos. There's a smell of death, a smell of genocide, of burned flesh, of the acrid smell of burning clothing, still smoking. There's the tactile sensation of rubble, of shrapnel, of grittiness, of blood, a sticky feeling of blood that won't wash away.
All right, man, I had not listened to that entire clip. That was pretty goddamn graphic. Oh my God. You could almost visualize it as he was talking. Anyway, really good episode. That's going to be coming here soon. Here's a clip from Scott Horton. So this episode will release on Friday. Scott's legit. I think I've mentioned this before. He's probably my most, I guess, famous by some metrics of a guest that I've brought on. And I guess when I say famous, I would define that more by the fact that he's been on Tucker Carlson recently. He was on Candace Owens. I don't know if he's been on Joe Rogan or not, probably. But anyway, this dude's done the rounds and he's very popular. He's on Piers Morgan all the time. I mean, he's one of the featured guest speakers on Piers Morgan. But give a listen. This is one of the videos that I discovered him on. Listen as he goes through the numbers of people that have been killed over the years through the various regime change wars that have happened, that quite frankly, myself included, we just have never paid attention to.
2 million dead in Korea, 3 million in Vietnam, 1.5 million or 2 killed in America's Middle East wars, 500,000 dead in the civil war caused by the American coup in Guatemala, massacres and pseudo-genocides, even in some cases, perpetrated by American puppets, governments protected by the United States of America. He always says, America has kept the peace for 75 years. The USA has killed a Holocaust worth of civilians.
I'm going to have a comment on a discourse that, trivializes the Holocaust by saying the United States has conducted Holocaust, that attacks, that demeans the United States in really a grotesque way.
On trivializing the Holocaust, our government, led by the neoconservative hawks, call every opponent of the American government Hitler. Noriega's Hitler, Saddam Hussein is Hitler. For Trump to have negotiated with the Taliban, that's just like Neville Chamberlain negotiating with Hitler. Oh, Muammar Gaddafi, the guy from the Naked Gun too? Yeah, no, we got to get him too. He's Hitler too. They're all Hitler. Speaking of trivializing the Holocaust.
All right, damn, that was hardcore. I hadn't listened to the second part of that, but you know what? I'm going to leave you guys on that, and I'm going to leave you on something to think about. And it's going to be in regards to Trump, and it's going to be in regards to Trump, Obama, Biden, the Clintons, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, that entire group. And this also kind of plays in just my disenchantment overall. And what I want you to think about is all of those people, Barack Obama, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Hillary Clinton, not so much Bill. Bill kind of keeps quiet. Who else? Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer. All of those guys for the past 8 years prior to January 20th or 21st of this year, they've absolutely called Trump Hitler over and over and over again. Maybe I'll try to put together a montage of clips of them referring to Trump as Hitler. And now, where honestly, probably it's the moment you could make the best argument for that, because of the way Trump's acted from the moment he got sworn in this term, they're all silent. None of them are saying anything. The only one going at Trump hardcore is Gavin Newsom, and he's actually been pretty hilarious with his memes. But I want you to think about that. I want you to think about why all of a sudden, a few days ago, Hillary Clinton was complimenting Trump on bringing together leaders of the EU and Vladimir Zelensky, if you missed that, at the White House, and potentially bringing an end to the Russia-Ukraine deal, which came on the heels of him meeting with Putin in Alaska. I didn't talk about that too much, but my point is that visceral hate that these people have shown us for so many years, 8 years to be exact. Where is that now? It's gone. It's almost like now they're buddies. I'm telling you, there's something to this. There's something to this. And this Uniparty concept and these people all being in on it together. I thought Trump was the guy that was going to break that. And honestly, it's become painfully obvious to me that he is just the continuation of that. Similar to what James Corbett said in the episode I did with James Corbett. And there's going to be more people, including Scott Horton, that speaks to that. So, all right, that's it, everybody. Sorry this got out late. Call a spade a spade. I'm going to try to get something out for Thursday. And then the Scott Horton interview is going to be on Friday. All right, call a spade a spade. Call your parents.
That was a great way to end it.
This episode was brought to you by Zipix Nicotine Toothpicks. Zip more, smoke less. Totally satisfying, discreet, and delicious. Zipix nicotine-infused toothpicks are available in 6 great flavors, each containing at least 2 milligrams of nicotine to curb those cravings. Zipix is FDA registered and proudly made in the USA. Use discount code DSD for 10% off your order at zipixtoothpicks.com. Zip more, smoke less, save 10%.